We're just watching the ferry before ours pull in to the wharf, and we are blessed. The rain is holding off for now. I think we still have a forecast of sometime before midday, so let's hope that it stays away. Hi, Alison. Hi, is it Dean? Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Diane. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Carol. Kay, Laurie, Joanne, Sharon, Jennifer. Hi, Cindy. Cindy, is that you from who's organised this morning? Give me a thumbs up. I think that's you. And I'd like to welcome all Cindy's ladies this morning as well. Hi, Glory. Hang on, I've missed a couple. Mum's here. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Ava. And Diane's from Atlanta, Georgia. All right, so that's what the ferry is going to look like that we'll be boarding in just a few minutes from now. Let me just check the board and see what time it's scheduled to come in. That one heads over to the west side of the Sydney Harbour. And this board should update shortly. Let me see. Is it going to expose for it? Come on. I know that screens have trouble with other screens. There we go. Ferry to Circular Quay is arriving in 5 minutes. So we'll just wait here for that to happen. We have a bit of wind. It rained a little this morning, but so far it's holding off, which is great. So let me show you around where we're standing. We're standing here at McMahons Point, which is on the north side of Sydney Harbour, surrounded by some beautiful apartment buildings here. And right next to the McMahons Point Ferry Wharf, we have this lovely restaurant, which is a little out of my price range. I'd love to be able to take you there, but unfortunately, don't quite have the budget for it, I'm afraid. And this is known as Lavender Bay, which is tucked around the corner from North Sydney. The majority of these big office buildings here on the left are North Sydney, and on the right, this is Milson's Point. And then over here we have Luna Park, which is quintessential amusement park. I took a lovely photo of that last night when I was checking out where I was going to be able to park this morning, because everything's kind of changed around here. Once upon a time I used to be able to get 4-hour parking right down near the wharf, but they're doing a lot of construction to create another tunnel crossing under the harbour, so we can't get there at the moment. So we've got Diane from Atlanta. Trying to identify who's part of the group and who isn't. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Robert. You climbed the bridge. Well done, Cindy. Let's have a look at where you would have gone at that. Thank you, Alison. I appreciate your support. Hi, Chelsea. Hi, Adeline. So, of course, there's an organisation called Bridge Climb that runs tours where you can actually tether yourself and climb across the upper arch of the bridge. It'll cost you a very reasonable $328 per person. And believe me, I'm not advertising for Bridge Climb. That would be an extraordinary experience though, wouldn't it? Sunrise or sunset, yeah. They're definitely the most popular tours. But of course you can't pick the weather. So I think the best way to do it is on the day. So look at this. We've got 5 ferries in view at the moment. So just zoom in on a couple of them. They breathalyze you, do they? Yeah, okay. I guess that's reasonable. You get some yahoos getting all excited. There's one of the little ferries. Is this one coming towards us? It possibly is. That could be ours right there. Hi, Julie. so much for mimosa with breakfast. You can always have it when you get back and celebrate the fact that you've done it. Let me show you what I did last night while I was looking for somewhere to park this morning. So that's what Luna Park looks like when it's lit up at night. It's pretty lovely. Cindy M, thank you. So Cindy, you're the one that organised this today, and welcome to all your team. Lovely having you here in Sydney, and we're meeting at Sydney Harbour. We're just waiting 2 minutes till the clock ticks down. Ladies from Mary Kay. $75, fantastic. Well, welcome to all of you ladies, and as I said, thank you for joining us this morning. Let me just zoom out a little. We're looking at Luna Park here, across the water, just tucked in beside the Harbour Bridge. I'm not sure what the work is that the crane is there for. It could be something to do with the tunnel crossing. I'm not sure, but they are building a second underwater tunnel crossing. Oh, here we go. It's the Sirius. We're being met by the Sirius, named, of course, after one of the ships of the first fleet that arrived here in 1788. The Sirius and the Supply. Alrighty, we're a minute till official tour start, but we don't run the ferry timetables, so we have to go with the flow on this, ladies. Hi, Kari. Kari, I'll show you what I'll show you what my jeans looked like after my tour this morning in a moment. Let's get on board first. Okay, Cindy, it is currently 11 a.m. in Sydney. There's so many people in the chat already this morning. Thank you, Farah. All right, so this is the ferry we'll be boarding. Thank you, Joanne. Appreciate your support, I really do. Hi, Christine. So we're just waiting to board this little ferry that's going to take us across to Circular Quay. It's a nice short little trip. Thank you. Good morning. Hi. Thank you. Alrighty, I think we'll go up front. What do you think? Alright, so it's just ticked over 11 a.m. It's windy this morning. I know that you will get some of the wind noise, but I have muffled it somewhat. Hi, Sylvia. Okay, let me turn this around and introduce myself to you. Hi, my name's Lynn, and we're meeting today on Sydney Harbour on board the ferry Sirius. And before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we meet today on the land of the Garigal people of the Eora Nation and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate it. All right, so let's turn this around so we can actually see the beautiful harbour as we cross. That building there that's just going out of view is James Packer's Crown Casino Resort. Although I think he might have been ousted from the board under a cloud. So the next stop on our journey is actually Luna Park itself. It's actually Milson's Point, in fact. So Kari, what I was referring to, for the rest of the ladies, Kari would know, she was on my tour this morning and some of the other people might have been as well. At the end of the tour, I did a rather spectacular fall. Live broadcast to everybody on the tour. Talk about excitement. Let's just wait till we pull up and I'll show you the upshot of that. But it does mean that I have a slightly puffy ankle. Thank you, Cindy. And here's Luna Park. Here we go. So if you haven't done a Hago tour before, there's a button in the middle of your screen down the bottom that allows you to take a postcard. It creeps you out, Cindy. And beside that is the North Sydney Baths that they're currently renovating, but you might get a glimpse there of the. Yeah, a bit tricky at the moment. Can't really see it. No, the pool's still under construction, Laurie. Thank you, Becky, and anyone else I might have missed. The chat's going a little bit quick at the moment, and if I've missed anyone that's thanked me with a tip, I appreciate all your tips. I really do, and apologies if I've actually missed thanking you in person. Hi, Mary Lou. Hi, Summer. Okay, let me show you this. Oops, this is bouncing me around a little. You can tap on the picture and it'll fill your screen. That's what my legs looked like this morning after I took my spectacular fall. Oh, look, there's a cruise ship in. There's a cruise ship in the harbour at the moment. Now, that must have come in last night or early this morning because it wasn't there. Yeah, as I said earlier, the only thing, what suffered the most damage was my dignity. And there's a tugboat over there. Look at this. I'll just zoom in on it. There's a tugboat over there with a bit of doing what they do. What do they do that? It's some kind of fanfare, isn't it? Isn't that what they do that for? Now, when we get on still and dry land, I'll talk more about the bridge and the Opera House. But at the moment, let's just enjoy this fantastic way of crossing Sydney Harbour. Thanks, Carolyn. Hi, Leilani. Hi, Diane. Hi, Shannon. I don't know if anyone got a postcard of it when it happened, but I tell you, my gimbal went one way, my phone went another way, my umbrella started heading for the lake. It was very exciting. I replayed the recording of it this morning when I got back to my mum's place. You very kindly shoved my jeans in the washing machine and dry it for me. Hi, Lorraine. All right, so here's the city from the harbour side, and we've just gone under the bridge. So here we go. It's a grey old day, but at least it's not raining at the moment. So I wonder what ship we have here. Thank you, Shannon. Nobody up there at the moment that I can see. Let's have a look. Thank you, Cheryl. No, I can't see anyone up there at all at the moment. Now, it has been declared a public holiday today. As far as I know, that shouldn't affect what bridge climb does. Oh, this is the Coral Princess. Here we go. Our Prime Minister declared today a public holiday as a national day of mourning in reverence of the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, because as a Commonwealth nation, she was our head of state. And that's the Charlotte, that little ferry there. It's a huge ship, isn't it? Look at the size of this thing. Now I need to be ready to get off. This is Circular Quay we're just arriving at. I need to be ready to get off the boat. Let me just do a quick pan around. We can see one of the sculptures at the Royal Botanic Gardens over there. and the Bungari. I think that's the little ferry that goes to one of the minor ferry wharfs. And here we are, the beautiful Sydney Opera House. We'll get another shot of that when we get back on land. All right, let me get ready to get off the boat. I'm not sure which side. So we will go over here. Oh, it's this side. Okay. Now these buildings, when they went up, there was a big fuss made about them because, they are big and imposing, and locals felt that it wasn't the right look for Circular Quay. I think we've gotten used to them now. This is one of the ferries that goes across to Manly, the really big ferry. It goes out through the heads, so it does have to be able to deal with ocean swell coming in between North and South Head. Hi Terry, hi Bonnie. Who else? Hi Karen, hi Jill. You were in Scotland when they brought the Queen through last week. Wow, it must have been an amazing time to be there. That would have been incredible. Hi from Nebraska. Hi Tara, welcome. And Camillo, hi Camillo, you almost slipped in. Sims and Judy, welcome everybody. And again, if I've missed you, the chat's moving a little quicker than I'm used to. Welcome to everyone who I may not have actually personally named. Okay, here we are at Circular Quay. What we need to do now is tap off. So I've got my Opal card in my pocket, which looks like this. I tapped on at McMahons Point Wharf, and I'll tap off up ahead. Yeah, Manly, it's like a different place, isn't it? You've got the seaside resort feel to it. It seems a bit more relaxed. So that's, didn't like that. Now it says I'm already tapped off. Who knows? Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do before we walk around the quay is go up to the train station. And although that sounds a bit intriguing, you'll see why when we get there. So it means we do need to tap on again. It's not going to cost us anything though. All right, so we need to tap on over here. And find the escalator. Oops, sorry. You were just being waved at. Up the escalator. I enjoyed your Sunshine Coast a while back and your Blue Mountains. Cheryl, I live in the Blue Mountains. I'm doing this special trip down to Sydney for all Cindy's crew. But that's where I normally live, up in the Blue Mountains. And if you like these tours and you want to follow my channel, there's a follow button for everyone who's on the official Hago tour at the top of the screen. You're welcome, Farah. Okay, now this is why I brought you up here to the train station. This is literally one of the best train platforms in the world for its view. Look at this. So literally we're standing on the train platform at Circular Quay. And over on the left we have the Museum of Contemporary Art. In that area, tucked in behind it, it's the area known as the Rocks. And that's where I'm going to head in a moment. This massive cruise ship, the Coral Princess, moored next. I just thought I'd let the train announcement finish. Let's zoom in on that. And then over on the right, of course, is the Opera House, tucked in behind the building's nicknamed as the Toaster. I don't know Sydney-siders, as I said, I don't know if Sydney-siders have gotten used to this big building that's been built here just yet. But anyway, it is what it is. And here's one of our Sydney trains. At Circular Quay Station. Okay, so let's head down. Let's head down now and take a little wander around the rocks, around Circular Quay. I am going to take the escalator rather than the stairs. As I said, I've twisted my ankle this morning. They've got these lovely mosaics here at the platform as well. Let's see if I can get this in shot for you.
Museum, Central, Green Square, Mascot, Domestic Airport, International Airport, Walleye.
Thank you, Karen. Hi, Asunta. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I can't really get it all in one shot. Thank you, Karen. And there's another one here. A little unclear as to what they represent, and I cannot find any kind of description about them either. But they are lovely, aren't they? Okay, where's this escalator down? This to me looks like a boat on the sea. Is that what that is? I think it is. They come fairly quickly, the trains through this station. Your first trip to Sydney, welcome. So here's another viewing platform at the Circular Quay train station. That's a river cat down there, a twin-hulled river cat called the Betty Cuthbert. Betty Cuthbert was, of course, one of our Olympic runners. All right, let's head off. Let's go. Look at all those ferries. Hi, Carla. Hi, Jim. Hi, Carolyn. Okay. Who have I missed? Hi, Farah. Hi, Nettie. I'll just get over this side. Let people walk past if they want to. All right, so we're going to tap off again, so we don't have to pay an extra fare. How much is it going to charge me? This is one of our trams, the light rail. So literally at this point here, you have the ferries, the trains, the trams, and of course there's buses as well. So at Circular Quay, there's all sorts of methods of getting around Sydney. And on the left here, we have Customs House, which is a museum. Hi, Tariq and Ollie. And I always say Tariq and Ollie, but it's Tariq and the Two Bears, isn't it? So I'm going to, just before we head off round to the rocks, we're just going to duck inside and have a quick look inside the front foyer of Customs House. Can you give us an idea of transport prices? Russ, for me, it's very reasonable because I have what's called a gold opal card because I'm a senior. So it only cost me $2.50 to go anywhere on the network all day, which is absolutely fabulous for me. Normal cost, I'm not absolutely certain. Somebody else might be able to chime in here. I think it might be capped at something like $8 or $10 a day, but I'm not really sure. Hi, Louise. So Louise is our New Zealand guide. And if there's any other guides that have joined the tour, please give me a wave. Oh, is it not open? Surely not. Public holiday? Public holiday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. All right. That cruels that, doesn't it? Yep, definitely not open. There's a complete scale model of the city underneath a perspex floor, so you can actually stand on the three-dimensional map of the city from above. Never mind, we'll see that another time. Did you, Bronwyn? I'm not sure which building that is, and they've made a lot of changes. Depending on how long ago that was, you might not even recognise the city now. I mean, this is a perfect contrast, what I'm about to show you. We've got this lovely old hotel here. Part of it's been taken over by McDonald's, and then in behind it is the modern glass building. And I don't even know what that building's called. Oh, okay. I've got you. So, yes. Thank you, Amber. And this is the final stop on the tram line. From here, you can go past Central Station and on towards Kingsford or Randwick, but it takes you out into the eastern suburbs. I'm being swooped. These seagulls are obviously too used to getting fed. So I'm just looking up here. I want to show you the cranes. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 just at this point here. Now, I don't know if it's still the case, but at one time Sydney had more cranes than any other part of the world. I think they said that Sydney had more trains than all of North America at one point or something. But I know that Canada is doing a lot of construction as well. Sydney, it is 17 degrees. It's not going to get much more than that. And my very bad centigrade to Fahrenheit conversion tells me that 20 is around about 68, if that helps you. So it's probably in the low 60s. Would that be right? Hi, Terry. Hi, Federico. Right, so I'm going to head towards the overseas passenger terminal. I'm just hoping that it's not chock-a-block full of passengers off the ship right now. I was going to take you up to a brilliant viewing point, but we'll have to see. We'll have to play it by ear, see what it looks like when we get round there. There's a lot of people hanging around Circular Quay today. Of course, being a public holiday, more people come into the city. And of course, we have all the passengers from the cruise ship as well. 62, thank you, Olivia. Now, this little ship here, I think is one of the like lunch cruises, dinner cruises, that kind of thing. Get a bit closer and get these people out of the way. Probably part of the Captain Cook cruise line that goes out for harbour cruises. Thanks for that, Cindy. I know that there's another calculation which is a little bit more involved. You multiply by 9, divide by 5, add 32, something like that. But your method gives you pretty close to the mark. It is a lot of maths, isn't it? So this is set up here for evening entertainment. We've got this, Lobster and Co. food truck. How tempting does that sound? And amazing movable theatres. I have no idea what that's about. But obviously this is all about getting people back into the city. Because for 2 years the city was absolutely devoid of people. I'll show you another thing that is here around Sydney Harbour. I'm not going to take you to every one, but there's a whole trail of literary associations. And this one here is Arthur Conan Doyle. So let me read it to you. It says, "We all devoted ourselves to surf bathing, spending a good deal of our day in the water, as is the custom of the place. It is a real romp with nature, for the great Pacific rollers come sweeping in and break over you, rolling you over on the sand if they can catch you unawares. It was a golden patch in our restless lives." And that comes from a text called The Wanderings of a Spiritualist. It says that he visited in 1920 to 1921 during a series of lecture tours on spiritualism. And this is part of the Writer's Walk. The bears are getting hungry. Oh, okay. Yeah, not this little truck behind me though. This little truck behind me is actually a rubbish collector. So there's another one here. Do we want to have a look at that? There's a whole row of them. I'm not sure who Douglas Stewart is, but it reads, "Australia's the violent country. The earth itself suffers, cries out in anger against the sunlight from the cracked lips of the plains. I have come to understand it in love and pity, not horror now. I understand the Kellys." So he's written Ned Kelly, 1943. There you are. Let's keep walking. Leanne, you have to get into the spirit of things. We're all voyagers on this journey. We're all travellers, and we bring the companions that we like to have with us. Oh, the wind's picking up and I felt a drop of rain. I better be ready with my umbrella just in case. So this is the Museum of Contemporary Art. It has an amazing veranda, or what do you call it, outdoor rooftop area with a cafe up the top there. So you're walking so well with your twisted ankle. Thanks, Cheryl. It is hurting a little, but I'm just trying to walk through it. Oh, There's a quote here from Thomas Keneally. Now, Thomas Keneally, of course, was the Australian author who wrote Schindler's Ark, which became the movie Schindler's List. So he actually grew up in Manly. Here we go. There was just a fellow standing there in front of it, so I was waiting for him to finish. Thomas Keneally, what he wrote is, the place which had been chosen for this far-off Commonwealth and prison and named Sydney Cove, in the spirit of events, faced the sun, which here was always in the north. The land on either side of the cove was divided down in the middle by a freshwater stream flowing out of a low hinterland among cabbage tree palms, native cedars, the strange, obdurate eucalyptus trees of a type which occurred nowhere else in all creation. Okay, I think that's enough literary quoting though. Otherwise we'll never get to the rocks. So the reason it's called the rocks is that when the early settlers first arrived here, the early colonisers, they pulled up their boats in this area, which is known as Sydney Cove, and literally on this side of the harbour was just sheer rocks, large rock cliffs. And then the name stayed, so they were moored against the rocks, and the name for this area stayed and was adapted. These just outdoor pieces I want to let you have a look at before we move on. Hi, Chandrabali. Chandrabali, I think, is a guide, but she's a little bit coy, and I'm not absolutely certain. I've never actually managed to get one of your tours, so I'm not sure. But keep an eye out for Louise and Chandra on the platform, and look for their tours as well. Let's get... here we go. This is the only way you're going to get a selfie of me today, apart from when I can't turn around and face the camera later. Let's try and get the Opera House. Can we get... oh no, the cruise ship's in the way. Never mind. Look at that. We can still get ferries. There you go. No, the ferry's gone. There's one. There's a ferry. Then over here, I think this is a very, very visual instruction to read what's down on the ground. Thank you, Joyce. So there we go. That's the Museum of Contemporary Art, which is free to go in, but that's not the purpose of our visit today. So we'll keep going. What have we got over here? Oh, steps. Steps on my ankle. It's really a hive of activity today down in the rocks. It's got a lovely... oh, that fence just fell over in the wind. All right, so here we have a statue of Captain Bligh. And that's as close as I can get to it at the moment. Or is it? I might be able to go around the other way. Captain William Bligh, of course, Bounty fame. We'll go around this way. This gives you an idea just how big this thing is. Look at it. I think we all tend to follow each other at this time slot, don't we, Kari? Now that there is a Wallamai pine. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer. I don't know if there's a deliberate gap in the fence or if they're just trying to keep you away from the other side. All right, it does say, uneven surface. This area is closed for repairs. They don't know what an uneven surface is. Have they ever been on any of my tours? Yeah, so this is a Wallamai pine, and I'm going to try and find where I can get the camera so it's not seeing the bars. The Wallamai pine is a recent discovery. It was only just discovered in a remote valley in the Blue Mountains in the last 20 years. And the location is being kept a secret so that people don't go and take it on themselves to go and make their own discoveries in that area. In the 2019 bushfires, they were at risk, and there was a concerted effort devoted to actually protecting that little valley, even though the area around it was completely destroyed. Yes, absolutely, DT, it is. And then this is Cadman's Cottage, which is the oldest residential building in Sydney. Unfortunately, it's not open to the public at the moment. It used to be on the actual original shoreline, but when the harbour was built up and reinforced, the shoreline was moved, obviously. However metres that is between here and the cruise ship. A special event, road closed, Sunday the 18th of September. I wonder what that is. Or was. That was last Sunday. Right, so I'll show you one of these signs. This is the indigenous name for the rocks, Talawalada. So Sydney City Council is starting to use more of the local names for places, and the hope is that eventually they'll become, people will become more accustomed to them, and they may even become more in common use. Sydney Marathon, what was on last Sunday? I'm not even sure. All right, so I'm going to try and get you another really nice view of Cadman Cottage. Describes the wharf at around about the time of 1816 to 1867, and it's not a very good condition illustration. It's weathered a little, but it does show you the changing shoreline. It says this sandstone ledge represents the location of the original wharf that existed when the cottage was first built and used as a coxswain's barracks. The remains of the original wharf still exist approximately, can't read that, so many metres below this mock wharf. Okay. So I imagine that they're referring to this. City to Surf, I think that was a few weeks ago. So that's the Cadman Cottage there. Hi, Joanne. Okay, we'll keep walking around this way. I have in mind a viewing platform that I'd like to take you up to, but I just need to work out where the crowds aren't right now. And it involves going kind of up that ramp there. Kind of feels like you're at an airport, which is understandable in a way, isn't it? Let me show you some of the interesting little alleyways and lanes as we pass them. That one goes up to the main road of George Street. But a lot of this sandstone is original. There's a bar up there. I have no idea, Kari. Maybe it was. So these buildings here you can see would have been warehouses and they've been restored, but they have the... Oh, okay. Thanks, Bernadette. No problem. There's always things going on, and if you're not up on everything that's in the calendar, it can be hard to stay on top of what's going on. So yes, this is a converted warehouse building. It's windy. Blackmore's Sydney Marathon. Oh, thanks for that. And thank you, Russ. I'm going to cross the road here and we'll try and get a look at some of this building from a bit of a distance. It has this old tower on top of it. Thank you, Mary. You can see how the palm trees are blowing in this wind. So that would be offices, or might even be art gallery in there too. Right, now I'm just trying to find, there's an elevator. Saved my ankle. There is an elevator up to this viewing platform. I've just got to find where it is. Otherwise I'll have to go up the ramp. Although I'm wondering if it's worth it, because the Opera House is kind of obscured by this great big huge cruise ship right now. That's the viewing platform right up there. I'm not convinced it's worth it. I think we'll go round to the Park Hyatt instead. We'll take the flexible approach. We've seen the Opera House already a few times, once on the ferry, and the whole time while we were on the ferry, and also from the train platform at Circular Quay. But when I go around, just around there to the Park Hyatt Hotel and out in front, once we reach that point there, we'll have a beautiful view of the Opera House. So there used to be a string of restaurants along here. Looks like something has reopened. There's some tablecloths I can see. And these, of course, are all old warehouses as well. This is kind of interesting. I've never seen that before. This bubble thing looks like it's reserved for one table setting. All right. Who asked for the Opera House? Hey, DT, you're lucky it's not raining, because it was forecast for 100% rain today. And we've gotten lucky. I'm actually ecstatic not to be juggling an umbrella at the moment. So, yep. So as you can see here, these are all old warehouses as well. Still has some of the mechanisms in place up the top there. Hi, Maureen. Okay, so everyone wants the Opera House, and I can totally understand that. So let's keep facing this way. The Opera House with the Coral Princess, trying to outdo it in size. Okay. Let's go this way, round to the Park Hyatt. Yeah, that's where they moor. That's the International Passenger Terminal. So they have a customs and everything there. This is a really beautiful Moreton Bay fig. Do you know, the funny thing is that there's some really cool pubs just behind here. I just want to show you this. I'm actually looking for something that interprets what this is, but it's beautiful. And I suspect it's fairly new because the sandstone hasn't discoloured very much. So you can see that it's indented, it's carved in. I'm guessing it's something to do with songlines. And for anyone who doesn't know, songlines is how the First Nations people, the Indigenous people, communicated from one clan to another. So all those markings would represent something. I just can't tell you what they represent. I wish I could find something that interprets it. What was I talking about before we got distracted by that? Help me out here, guys. So we're on a wharf or a pier outside the Park Hyatt Hotel, and here we have the lovely view of the Opera House. Grab your postcards. And here, let me see, can we get a good reflection shot? Not sure, probably not. The Opera House is white and cream. So the main tiles of the sails are white, but the outline edge of every sail and the internal ridge between each of the sails is actually a cream colour, which slightly contrasts. What I'm going to do in the moment is actually put another image in the chat showing the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge last night. I took it at night while I was looking for somewhere to park today. I'll zoom in on it in a second. Let me just find a spot. Come over here. All right. Oh, you mean, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yes, it's only the sails that are white. I don't know if you can see the two colours that I was referring to when I zoom in on it like that. Now, I took this photo last night. If you zoom in on that one, you might be able to just make out, like you really need to sort of zoom in on it. You'll have to save it as a postcard and then zoom in on it later. You can actually just make out the definition of Queen Elizabeth II's face on the third sail, but it's from an angle, so it's a bit tricky to see. Oh, and then we come back around to where the Sydney Harbour Bridge is. Oh, I'm zoomed in. There we go. So on the left we have beautiful Sydney Harbour Bridge. I'm so happy the weather stayed nice. You can almost even see the sun above us. Look go up above this palm tree. That up there is nearly a sun. Almost. Wrong photo. Was that the wrong photo? That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. You have to, yeah, okay. I showed you one this morning that was more zoomed in than that. Yeah, I don't have that one saved. I've got the one with the whole of the bridge. My apologies. All right, so over here, Sydney Harbour Bridge. Over here, the Opera House. And it's very windy. All right, now, I'm actually struggling to remember whether I made this tour 45 minutes or an hour. Cindy, can you remind me? I'm happy to stay for the full hour if anyone would like me to. There's a lot more we can look at, so I'll just stay on. We're already at the 49-minute mark anyway, so let's just stay. I'll keep walking a little further. The railing is iconic, isn't it? I'm going to get up on top of this bit of stone. There we go. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm enjoying it as well. This is fantastic. I always love coming here. All right, here we have a ferry coming past the Opera House. So over to the right of the Opera House is the Royal Botanic Gardens. And then tucked in amongst the trees of the Royal Botanic Gardens, I'll just zoom in on it. That's Government House, just in the middle there behind that statue. So the state governor lives there. And when the head of state, which up until 2 weeks ago was Queen Elizabeth II, comes to stay, that's where they are. That's where they're put up. That's where they bunk down. Hi, Ernestine. That sculpture over there, I'm pretty sure that is meant to be a native fish hook. Oh, really, Laurie? Is that right? I know they filmed it in Sydney, but yes, I didn't realise that they did that there. Okay, let's walk a little further around under the bridge. A couple of quick facts about the Opera House while we walk. So the design for the Opera House came about after a competition. 233 entries were received. The winning entry was a Danish architect by the name of Johan Utzon. That competition was held in 1956. He won £5,000 prize for having the winning entry.
Just move it here.
Oops. Sorry.
Hand in the pocket or in the pocket.
They're styling their poses. Hi, Karen. Hi, Evie. And here's the Luna Park from the other side of the harbour. Let's just zoom in on that for you. So the original budget for the Opera House was, I think it was $7 million. It blew out to over $100 million. It was meant to take, I think it was 4 years or something to build. No, it would have been more than that. I've got all these facts written down, but some of them I've forgotten. Apologies, people. It's been a tough morning. Oh, did you see her? I was trying to keep her out of shot. Yeah, I know. She's very in the family way, isn't she? Go on, off you go. Thank you. You're welcome. And the first person to perform at the Opera House, which I meant to tell everyone on my tour last night and completely forgot, was Paul Robeson. For those who don't know who he is, this is him here. And he performed for the construction workers in 1960, sang Old Man River. And if you look that up on YouTube, it is an incredible performance. What a voice. When these guys go, I will cross the road and show you some of these historic images of the Harbour Bridge being built. Actually, it might be better to stay on this side, I'm thinking, looking at it. Apparently it almost missed because they were building the two ends of the arch simultaneously from both ends. And when they got to the middle, apparently they almost missed. They almost didn't line up. And that's what the rocks looked like. Sorry, no, I'm mistaken. That's the north side, isn't it? It says view northwest from Sydney Observatory, 1882. So that would be looking across over to here. That's what that would have looked like over there. There's some pretty iconic images around that part of the north end of the bridge as well that show entire suburbs having to be demolished to make way to build the bridge. And then this is one of the old cruise liners back in 1954. So that was around about the time that Queen Elizabeth first visited. Alrighty, what I'll do is I'll come over here to Pier 1 and we'll finish up over here. There's a poem about Lavender Bay written by Henry Lawson. And that street where the ferry wharf is that we departed from, is actually called Henry Lawson Avenue. I'm zoomed in again, sorry guys. Thank you, Ernestine. Yesterday's tour, we did sunset in air quotes because there was no sun. We did sunset at the Opera House from Mrs. Macquarie's chair at we started at 5:30 p.m. Sydney time and ran for about half an hour. We were very lucky that the weather held last night as well. Even though it was cloudy, the lights coming on in the city and over the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House were really beautiful. So yeah. I'm just reading everyone's comments. Antique street lights. Oh, here is this what you're talking about? These ball-shaped ones. All right, I'm going to head over here to a logical place where I can stand and turn around and face the camera to sign off and say goodbye to everybody. So let's just come over here. There's a little wharf. I need a drink of water. That's what I need. There's a river cat coming through. Thank you, Cindy. All right, let's just let the ferry, the river cat go by under the Harbour Bridge. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a lovely tour. I've enjoyed your company so much. If you want to follow and do more tours with me, just hit that follow button at the top of your screen. And my next tour is, what day is it? It's Thursday today. Tomorrow I'll be at Mount Tomah Botanical Gardens, which is a cool climate botanical gardens, and up in the Blue Mountains again. So we're all going to cross our fingers, think positive energy that it's not going to rain tomorrow. Your comments are zooming past. I'm going to catch up with them all in a moment. Let me see. Yep, I will definitely take care. Tomorrow is a little bit of walking involved around the garden, so I do need to be careful. There's a lot of up and down as well. And alrighty, let's have one last shot of the harbour before I farewell everyone. And it's been lovely to meet all you Mary Kay ladies. Hope I see you all again sometime. Okay, bye for now.